Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another evening of streaming Sirtet or Tetris. And we'll see how this goes. We'll pick up where we left off. We got a little interrupted last time. So let's switch to our Trello board. There we go. We were working on the sound effect for the row clear. Let's go into Visual Studio, and that's right, we're in the process of refactoring. We wanted to that's right. So we're moving everything over to the effects folder because we did have a bunch of stuff sitting on top of the playfield, I think. Yeah, yeah. So this line clear behavior was doing our camera shake. That's right. Not only was it like handling line clearness, but also the effects of what happened on line clear, which is clearly a no-no. I was mixing it apart because we don't really want the effects to be intertwined with the logic. So now on our line clear effects, we can say online clear. And just like our game manager is told when a line is cleared, because this one's gonna handle incrementing the score. See, yeah. Oh, that was start game. Online clear, increment score and notify. So yeah, so our line clear behavior now no longer needs the wrong one. Come on. There we go. No longer needs the camera shake field. Not important. Handle row full. Yeah, this is handling logic that we remove and shift down. Update the grid state. Update the visuals to match. Yep. Good. Good. Oh, that's fun. We're on start. We're registering ourselves with grid on row full. We really don't need to be doing that. Instead, we should be making grid board this here be a Unity event, so that we can do the registering of that through the UI. Because I'm kind of going that route in order to hang on a sec. Well, apparently I'm so sorry. My mute button on my mic doesn't work for muting. I just hit it and it keeps saying mute off. Lovely. I'm so sorry guys for coughing like that. Okay, is that better volume-wise? Awesome. Great. Cool. Welcome, TV Josh. Yeah, how'd you find out about the channel? I'm glad you dropped on to see what was going on. Sweet. Yes, so you did stumble onto a great place for someone doing programming. And I say that jokingly. Yes, like if you've read the bio at all, like I am relatively new to game dev. I've tinkered off and on for a while. But this is like doing the streaming thing is the first time where I've like really gotten serious into trying trying to see through to the end of some sort of a game. Hence the cloning of Tetris seemed like a pretty simple place to start. And so, yeah, I do program for a living. I just don't program games for a living. So this is a big change. So yeah, I can kind of demo it. If my mic volume was loud, I'm hoping my volume for the music, I'll try turning it down. It seemed kind of loud when I started the game and had music playing. You can kind of see what we've got accomplished so far. Doesn't look like it's blowing out the volume there, but if it's loud, let me know and I'll turn it down. So yeah, we've got a main menu. We've got options. We can control the volume, which has turned out to be more work than I anticipated. And we have something that approximates Tetris. I don't really play much Tetris. It's not like I'm very good at this, but it does Tetris-y stuff. You can see we can drop down blocks. Try to show you that line clearing does work. Hey, we got lucky. We got a little shake there. We actually managed to clear 2 lines at once. We got some score. Yeah, we can pause it, go back to our options screen, adjust everything around here, continue, restart, all the basic stuff so far of needing a game. So let's go ahead and quit out of this. And so, yeah, we've been working for, I don't know, like 15, 16 hours, I think, of streaming. I've tried to stream everything. Needs preview. I heard no sound. Huh. Oh, preview of next piece. Got it. Yes, yeah, that's something we can add. We can go ahead and add that to the Trello board. Yeah, so add that. Of course, it helps the spell. But yeah, so we've been working at this for maybe 15-ish hours. I made the goal to stream the entire development of this. If I am in Unity or C#, I am streaming it. The only thing I joke about not making my stream watch is me watching YouTube videos of how to figure all this stuff out. I figure like that might get kind of boring and kind of iffy on if I should be streaming other people's YouTube videos. But yeah, we've made some good progress over the past time. And so right now we're wanting to add a little bit of a sound effect when the row cleared. Because right now we have that thunk when the block lands. And we have a camera shake when the row clears. But I wanted to add a little more, what's the word everybody uses? I'll just say polish, but that's not the word that I keep hearing a lot of game devs use. But a little more polish to it. So we're in the process of adding adding that last little bit of pizzazz of showing making some sound effects. And we got down a little bit of a rabbit hole of trying to reorganize all of our effects because we had, like the effect when the piece lands, which is play a sound. And then we had this line clear, which was doing the camera shake, but it was hiding on the playfield script down here. And that was just becoming a little bit of a mess. And so we're in the process of reorganizing all of that. Pizzazz, panache, yeah. Any of those words work great. And so, yeah, so line clear effect. So I just finished moving over the camera shake into the new line clear effect script. So like I said, it was stuck over here on the line clear behavior, which has our logic on like oh, when a row is full, what does that mean? You know, we have to shift down, remove the row that's full, shift everything down one, update our visuals, then notify everybody that this happened. This also had the camera shake in here originally, which was kind of messy because this is game logic and I don't really want the effects, which don't affect the logic of the game, to be buried in the middle of the logic. Sizzle, I like that. Needs a little more sizzle. So I'm gonna add a new sound effect in. I unfortunately called this music track in my code. And I haven't tried to go back and rename it because I have a feeling that renaming it is going to break the UI or break, not the UI, but it's going to break Unity because I have places in here like this, which are these music tracks, but showing up in the editor. And I have a feeling if I rename it, double the font size, I can certainly try. Nope, that's not right. I have to hold on while I try to figure out where my fonts are. Font size. Yeah, I mean, it's actually gonna. How about that? Is that a little more legible? Awesome. Yeah, I forget that like I'm new to the whole streaming thing, so I'm forget that, you know, I might be sitting in front of a decent sized monitor, but my stream is definitely not streaming full resolution, and not everybody else is sitting on a large monitor. Considering I watch like 90% of my YouTube and everything on my phone, not on a computer, like I get that. Awesome. So sound effects. We just added the sound effects for our line clear. So we wait for it to compile. Here it is. Here's our sound effects list. Awesome. Set our default volume to 1. Then we have our, I think this is our line. Oh, the sound effects, piece land line clear. We'll drag this over here. Awesome. Preview of this. Is this the right one? Nope, that is not the right sound. I guess it is. It's kind of loud. It's kind of annoying, but it's something. We're starting with something. I can always tweak it later. Just decrease the volume of that effect. Okay, great. So where did everything go? That's funny, everything disappeared. Huh. I don't know why all my stuff is not disappearing and hitting F is not focusing on it. Is it all there? Is it just really, really tiny or something? No. That's weird. Oh well. Why is it a serialized field? Great question. So the way Unity works is, so this here, this line clear effects script is this C# script. And so it extends mono behavior, which it needs to in order to show up here in the editor. And if you see these fields here, you've got two options when you create your mono behaviors. If I make this public, it will also show up. So I can do that, like I can make this music track public instead, and we'll go over to the editor and you shouldn't see any difference. it'll still show up here. So all public fields will show up in the editor, but we generally don't want to make things public because that means anybody could change them. Anybody could have access to them. And so for Unity, if we mark it as a serialized field, these can now both be private, but they will still show up in the Unity editor. Oh, it's not compiling. Again, you won't see any difference. But if we were to say add like a private color, we'll see that it won't show up here yet. Yep, see it's not there, but if we throw a serialized field on it, it should show up in the Unity editor, allowing us to change it. Yep, see there's our color. So that's what we use serialized field for. It just lets it show up in the Unity editor, yet follow good object-oriented programming practices and keep our member variables private, unless we really need to make them not private. So that's what's going on with that. Okay, we do need another thing. So we do need access to the audio manager. So we'll go ahead and do that. Audio manager. So that we can play this sound. Audio dot play random effect. Sound effects. There we go. And so like I said, we just added that new serialized field here. It'll show up asking for our audio manager, which our audio manager lives on our game manager over here. So if we drag that here, we can now get the audio manager. So we got our screen shake, we got our sound effects. So let's see how this goes. Means we actually have to play enough to clear a line. So if we start that. So I don't know if the audio is coming through. Like Twitch streaming says there's audio coming through. Oh yeah, we heard that beep. I'm not sure that's a very satisfying sound though. It was actually quite bad. But it's a start. We can tweak that later. Come on, I want to test this again. Oh, that was a horrible piece placement. Okay, never mind. This is why I don't play Tetris. I'm not very good at it. But it's fun. It's fun to make. Okay, awesome. So we added our random sound effect. We only have one sound effect, but that's okay. We have our piece landing, our sound effects. Okay, so that worked. We go back to our Trello board. Go ahead and call that done. Now let's see. What's next? We could try to do the preview of the next piece that was suggested. Certainly be interesting. Okay, so let's try that. I have no idea how this is going to go. I have not thought about implementing this before. So we do need to figure out though why I cannot see any of my stuff over here. Like I should, like hitting F is supposed to like focus in on it, but like it's not. Oh, well, there's my UI. Just showing the pause screen right now. Now where's my play? Oh, there it is. That's so weird. Are these all? Oh, it's because this my effects thing is often some really random location. There we go. All of these objects should be at 0, 0. unless they have a good reason not to, like your camera. Spawner, yeah, our spawner is up here because the spawner actually controls where the pieces come into the board. So it's up at the top. Piece controller is also should be reset to 0, 0. GameManager is at 0, 0. There's our UI. Awesome. Cool. So to have a preview, it's a good question because right now all of our shapes are prefabs here. And so if we drag one of these in here so we can take a look at it. Like they're not images, like they are made up of individual game objects for each of the blocks. So it's currently not like an image we could just show over here under the preview. Instead, we'll have to like figure out we'll have to like actually create the piece over here, like spawn in the game object, place it up over here for preview, then delete it to show up over here. So we have our score here, we got our preview here. So yeah, we'll have to figure out a way to like put this actually, like we actually want this like over here, right? Kind of like this spot over here. We're like, oh, this is the next piece coming. And so that's going to have to be our spawner, because the spawner is the logic that knows about spawning pieces. So it's the one that's going to know what's next. Yeah, definitely. Definitely could do that. Yeah, you could do that. You could just create, that's not what I meant. Create an empty parent here. And yeah, we could drag them all in here and, you know, position them to show up. You know, like that. And then hide and show them based upon what's next. That's probably going to be the easiest because they don't all have the same same position. So if we did that, we have all of these. And move this under this. It's the spawner. Can we move it under here? Thank you. And call this the rename the preview. I have these pieces under the preview. And the spawner would need to tell, I guess it would just need to show and hide. So it would kind of need to know about what's coming next. So I'm going to call this part of the UI. So create a C# script. We'll call it UI preview. And so in our C# code, go ahead and close all the tabs so we can start fresh. So I have the UE preview and the spawner. So the spawner needs to like pre-spawn a piece, kind of like it's gotta already have a piece ready to go before it spawns it, so that we know what's going to be next. So start game, we spawn a piece right away. So in spawn piece, after we do all of this, we need to do preview next piece. Which needs to tell let's see how we want to handle this. I've been very careful with trying to separate my UI code from my game code. So if we look here, like the score, like the UI score component knows nothing about the score. And the game manager itself also knows nothing about the UI. Instead, it publishes when the score changes and says, okay, score changed, here's the current score. The UI is currently, where is it? Score. Did I just, oh yeah, sorry, it's right here. The UI has a score script on it. And it's the score script that has this on score change, and it updates the score value displayed on screen when the score changes. So like the UI knows nothing about the game manager. The game manager knows nothing directly about the UI, which keeps them really decoupled and avoids them interacting with each other, like interfering with each other. So I kind of want to keep that same thing going where we have an event for like, so currently we have oh, interesting. So currently we actually do have an event for on spawn. So we could kind of push that in there. So we have an on spawn of what is the current piece behavior, the piece that was spawned. We could change this and have like a struct that was, okay, here's the current piece and the next piece that will be spawned, and make use of that same thing, like double duty. Or we can just bite the bullet and do on spawn preview. Okay. This does mean though that we're not instantiating a piece here. We're actually taking the previewed piece. So piece, so it's a game object. Next piece. And it's not really previewing the next piece. It's almost like generating it, but we'll just leave it as preview next piece for now. So this here where we're instantiating it isn't quite right. Oops, I do that all the time. We want to set this to next piece. And then in our preview here, next piece is where we're going to instantiate it. And we need the behavior so that we can notify everybody about it. So we can say on preview, on spawn preview is what we're calling it, invoke anybody listening for it to know about the behavior. Okay, so the recap what we're doing. The preview the next piece is going to do the work of randomly picking one of our pieces, grabbing the piece behavior, which is this mono component that describes how they work. And then it's going to trigger this event on spawn preview saying, hey, anybody who wants to know, this is the next piece coming up. And then after that, we're all good. And so then when spawn piece happens, like when we actually need the piece, we're just going to take the next piece. We're going to make it active so it shows up, or so it starts working. We're going to check if we can actually spawn the piece here. Oh, actually, we set it false. I guess this should be in our instantiation script here. Just want to make sure that it's not active when we make a new one. Okay, so yeah, when we spawn it, we grab the next piece, grab the behavior off of it, and then we check, okay, could we really spawn it here? And this can spawn checks to make sure that there's room to spawn the piece. That's how we know when game is over if we can't spawn it. And then it goes ahead and sets up some stuff like telling the piece, okay, well, here's the grid you're running on. Here's some configuration about how long it takes you to fall. It hands over control to the controller. So this is the player controller. It says, okay, player controller is now controlling this piece. Sets a callback so that we know when the piece has landed, because when the piece lands is when we spawn the next piece. Activates it, and now we need to preview the next piece because we've actually used it. So you need to go ahead and preview the next one, which will generate the next piece and send out that event. So that's awesome. So this needs a new method of on preview next piece. And this is going to take a piece behavior. And now we can go back to Unity, wait for everything to compile. And here we have this new event on spawn preview that we're going to use. And so we're going to take this for the spawn preview. This shouldn't be a child of this. We should go make this over here. Yeah. Sorry, definitely the preview stuff is part of the UI, so it should be under the UI hierarchy. Spawn preview. Yeah, so the spawner, we need to take the spawn preview, drop it here, so we know who to invoke. Spawn preview. Oh, we didn't add our spawn preview script. There we go. Now that it has the component attached to it, we can use that. Okay, yeah, so if we come here, yeah, now we have the UI preview, and we have, it should have our, oh, yeah, spawn preview. Why doesn't it have our script in it? Did I not save it? Oh, I forgot to make it public. These do have to be public to be used as targets of Unity events. And so UI preview, and there it is, on preview next piece. So we can kind of confirm that this is going to work by doing debug log format. Is it format? Log format. Next piece is next piece game object.name. Okay, so now we should get logged to the console what the next piece is. So if we hit play, let's see. Start our game. Oh no. And it crashed. Null reference. Object reference not set. Piece behavior is valid move. Why are we immediately checking if it is a valid move? Check for landed. Oh, because that happens in update. That's weird, but what's null? Is grid null? How did we break something? Because when we're doing start game, we're destroying all the children, just to make sure that there's no leftover pieces around. We're previewing the next piece, which is going to actually give us the next piece. Then we're going to spawn the piece. So we did see things waking up. Next piece is S piece. Not sure why we were given that twice. Oh, because I mean, I guess we used it and then we immediately spawned. Yeah, so we spawned the S piece here. Where's the spawner? Yes. And then we created another one immediately. As you can see, it just happened to be the same object twice in a row. Moved it into running. But once we got into running, things were... why are you running? Oh, those are running. Oh, interesting. Huh. So the problem is we dragged our my brain just went blink. We dragged our prefabs in here to be our previews. Well, our prefabs actually have the behavior scripts on them already. And so they thought they existed in the world and were trying to update themselves, but they weren't attached to a grid or anything. They were just floating off over here, which they didn't like. So we disabled the behavior for now. And so that should stop those errors from happening. Oh, yes, Unity. If you make changes while you're playing, to most things, they don't stick, which is, I guess, great a lot of the time, but I always forget that. Okay, so here it comes. We, next T piece, next piece should be a J piece, so if we make this land, let's see what happens. Yep, there's a J piece, next piece is going to be a T piece. Okay, yep, that's right, next piece. Apparently we're only going to spawn these back and forth. Okay, there's a L piece, next one's supposed to be an O piece. Hey, that works. Awesome. So we got the spawn logic in there. We clearly aren't showing what we're doing with it. And I just remembered we forgot to commit our work after we finished our effects stuff, which is kind of annoying because we already started adding in all of this stuff. So I can commit a lot of it, but not everything. That's gonna have to do. I can't believe I forgot to commit our work before moving on to the task. I got too excited to move on to the next task. Okay, there we go. So now all we need to make happen is selecting which one we are actually going to show. Next. Oops, so is that 5? Not 65, 5, 4. And then this one should be at whole numbers as well. That one's at 5, 4. J should be at 5, 3. That'll stop them from overlapping weirdly. Okay, so now our spawn preview needs to know about its children and which piece is which. There are a bunch of ways to do this. I mean, so we could do it like if you noticed when it was spawning, it creates them with these names. So the pieces that are spawned are like J piece clone, C piece clone. So we could take the new piece that's coming in, then loop through all of our piece previews and say, okay, J piece clone. Does our new piece start with J piece clone? Yes. Show that one, hide everything else. Does our new piece, okay, no, it doesn't. What about, does it start with Z piece clone? Yes, show that, hide everything else. Honestly, that's probably going to be the easiest. I'm not sure it's my favorite, but it'll work. So if we add all of these in, we do have to like move them all. Oh, we already had the Z piece, didn't we? So is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 6? What are we missing? T piece. Okay. And so we want to move these. No, no. So we accidentally screwed up the order. We'd already moved a couple of these, which that's that one, that one. So move those to the top because we've already positioned those. There you go. And drag these over. I'll set this to 5, not 4. 5, thank you. And we can drag them up to 2. And this one looks like it can go up to 3. T piece can definitely go up to 3. Actually go up to 4. This piece can also go up to 4. O piece can also go up to 4. That leaves, I think that's it. Okay, that's all there. Okay, so let's try it that way. We can always refactor things later. We do need to make sure that in all of these, they're all disabled so that they don't try to start running their script. So in the preview, we're getting told what our next piece is. Great. So when we wake up, we want to grab hold of all of our children. Public void awake. And we want to find all of the preview pieces. So for each transform, child, and transform. We iterate over all of our children. Then we want to, so how do we want to do this? This whole name thing is a little hacky. To do things by strings. It's just a little bit hacky. But it will work to get started with. Ultimately, it would be nice to like copy these and spawn them ourselves, and I guess we kind of could. Hey, thanks for the follow, TV Josh. Because if we notice, like, they all start at x equals 5. And other than a couple of them, they also start at like y equals, I guess several of them start at other y's. I mean, we could try spawning them all at like y equals 2. Because the other option, instead of doing it that way, is we know what thing is coming in. So that means we can do game object dot instantiate the original is next piece. That's a piece behavior. And then where do we want to put it? Our transform is this. I guess I'm actually going to say transform for a parent. False. Okay. Come on, show me my options. So we need a location. So a position and a rotation. Then our cells. Okay, so position, rotation. So our position, we're going to say a new vector 3. I think we said that would be x equals 5 and y equals 2. Our rotation is going to be no rotation. So we want the quaternion dot 0, or identity, that's what it's called. So we're going to instantiate one. Transform. Don't need this currently. Hello. Just leave that. So this is our current one. So we're going to need a private game piece behavior. I don't actually want that. I mean, I guess we can do it that way. Piece behavior current preview. And then so we got a new one. So current preview, if it exists. Actually, can we just destroy it even if it's null? I assume we can. Just destroy it. Then we'll create a new one. At that spot, we will make sure that it is deactivated. So that it doesn't, so this is the piece behavior script that we have, and that's the one that's looking for all that logic that we definitely don't need. So we're going to create a copy of it, spawn it here, make sure it's not enabled, then we're going to destroy it. So let's try that. Okay. Oh, we have no preview. But they're there, they're just not visible. Oh, what, it spawned it in like the middle of the screen? What is going on? I swear we moved it. So what's going on? We said its new position would be 5-2. And it's, oh, does our parent have a location? Ah, yes. See, this parent piece has a location. We want to reset that. That's kind of throwing everything else off, isn't it? So maybe having these under the UI doesn't work. Just gonna move it back out here. Under the spawner? Under the spawner, thank you. Yeah, the spawner does have a location though. So the problem is, like, with these not being set, like, we want the parent to have a 0, 0 underneath it. And so we reset this, but that's technically underneath the spawner, so everything is still shifted slightly. Come on, I want you out. I don't want you underneath there. Come on. There we go. That's harder than it should be to get things out. Okay, so if we reset this again, let's try this. What's going on? Why are all of the... Oh, they're disabled. Or are they in the right place? No, they're not. What is going on? Oh, that's because the places we thought they were aren't right. That's not 5-4. That's totally wrong. Because that was assuming there was that weird transform of the picture. Like when it was under the UI, there's that weirdness going on. So let's try that. 10.2 and 15. So we'll hide this. We'll jump back to Visual Studio. Say 10.2, 15, 2F, 15. We do need to make the game object enabled though, so that we can actually see it. Okay. Well, they're previewing. It's just we get 2 of them instantly. And it's not getting rid of the old one. I mean, so it kind of works. Mostly not very successfully, though. Move that down for the L piece. So why is this not working? Because when the game started, you were saying, like, we're immediately saying, okay, wake up, next piece is an O, next piece is an I, and those spawn, both of them, in the preview. but for some reason it's not getting rid of it. I assume I can just say destroy game object on the script, but maybe I have to say it on the game object. Let's try that. If that doesn't work, we can at least disable it and hope that makes it disappear. Oops. Oh, there's a other let's go here. Because it could be null. Okay. Oh. Hey. That works. You just can't call it. You just can't call destroy on a mono behavior and have it destroy the game object. Okay, so it definitely needs a little bit of polish, but it technically is working. So we go to the game, enable one of these so we can see where it is. We can add a new UI element for a panel. Call this the preview. Okay. And if we move this over here, wait, what are we doing? To move the whole thing. Let me split this so we can see what the UI is going to look like. We want our scale's not quite right. No. It's not leaving much room around there, is it? Do need to shut this down because like our eyepiece, which is no longer in the right space, and 10.2 with a y of 12. Really should be 13. Go fix. Oh, it is 13. Then we can take this preview box and bring in the bottom a little bit there. Awesome. Okay. Oh man. Not perfect, but not too shabby. Not too shabby. Okay, so if we play this again, let's take a look at how it looks. Start. Oh, we left these other pieces enabled, didn't we? From when we were previewing everything. There we go. Start it up. Yeah, it's working. That's pretty cool. We got this added in one night. That worked really well. Okay. They move around a little bit. It's not perfect. There's our sound effects. That's awesome. I just want to test. No, I got it in the wrong spot. Oh well. That's cool. That's awesome. Cool. Great. Now it's before we forget. Go ahead. Make sure we save that. Make sure we saved everything in C# land. Okay. Piece preview. Commit that to master. And it works. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Josh, for that. We got preview next piece in like 30 minutes. That's pretty awesome. Let's see what's next. We have, I should make this bigger for everyone. Can I stack? Can't stack those. So that might be actually kind of tricky to implement. No, I guess not. We just have to determine what as you play means. Probably in lines cleared, but that's really, or maybe not lines cleared, pieces spawned. That's a little tricky one because you actually have to sit there and play it a lot to see that it's actually going faster. I mean, eventually, you know, our game is looking kind of basic at the moment. Like our UI design it's pretty lacking. That could be nice. I mean, you saw the pieces. They are ugly. They're just colored blocks. They don't even have any texturing on them to make them look kind of interesting. This one is a little weird to feel. Or not to feel. It's a little weird to see like on stream versus feel when playing. But basically, if you hold the key, it immediately starts repeating. So like if you want to move over one, you have to be like tapping that key right away. Because if you hold it for just a little bit too long, it's going to repeat. And from what I remember in real Tetris, like there's a bit of a delay. So the first time you press the key over to move, it moves. And then it waits a little bit longer before it repeats. And then once it starts repeating, it repeats pretty fast. Because it assumes you actually want to get the piece moving. So we'll try this one. This one seems reasonably doable. So did I move it? Okay, I moved it to in progress. Awesome. Oh, should have cleaned this up because we didn't actually end up needing some of this stuff. I'm going to clean this up real quick before I move on to the next task. Okay, good. Don't know if I can make this window bigger for you guys. Text select. Oh, now it's like massive. Can I shrink it down a little bit? Okay. We made some changes in the cleanup, and I want to commit those before we move on. So these are the piece preview. You check. Okay, they're staged. Do that. There you go. So, doubling the delay. Can move this back over here for now. Okay, so if we go back into C#, close this out, So here on the piece behavior, we have that's how far they fall. That's not the repeating. That is on the piece controller. So on the piece controller, they have a left-right repeat delay. So how long does it wait before it starts? Like if you hold down the key, how long does it wait before it starts moving you again? Same with rotation. So the way it works is we have this handle input which checks our keyboard for like WASD or left-right. When we go down, like when you press down on a key and hold it, we set the movement. So like hit left arrow, we set our movement to left. We set the time to next move to 0 so that it moves in the same frame that you press the key down on. But if you let up on the key and your current movement was left, then we're going to clear it. This checking to only set your movement to none if it was the direction you are going is, again, a little hard to explain without showing a keyboard. But basically, like if you hit left to move left, and then you hit right without letting go of left, you would start moving right. But then when you let go of the left key while still holding the right key down, if you didn't make this check to see, are we moving left, and just cleared it, you would suddenly stop the piece moving just because you let go of the left arrow key. So if you were going back and forth really fast and didn't quite let go of one key before you pressed the other key, it had this weird jittery effect where it would suddenly stop moving because you let go of the key you no longer needed. So that was a weird bug we had to fix early on when we were setting up the movement controller. So yeah, that's what that weirdness is looking about. And yes, if anybody has any questions about the movement controller, you can just ask them in chat, and I'll try to answer them. And so, like you saw up here, we handle our input. Then if we have a piece we're controlling, we handle the piece control. Really, there's no point in doing any of this if we don't have a piece to control. So if our control does not equal null, we can handle input and then handle the piece control. Yep. So I was saying we have our movement control, and down here we have handle the piece control. And all this does is it checks to see if the time to the next move is greater than 0, we're just going to subtract delta time. So count down that timer and return. When this isn't true, we're going to come down in here and we're actually going to start doing our movement. And our current movement is going to be, we check, are we going to move left? If so, call into the piece, tell it to move left, and reset our time to next move. Now, since we're wanting to change only the first delay, we need to know if this is the first time the piece has moved or not. So if we do private bool this first move, and here where we're setting it to 0, we need to set is first move equals to true. Set this everywhere we're doing that. Maybe not for rotate. I guess so. Leave that alone. And then in here, instead of just setting it to the left-right delay, we are going to say times that by is first move. And if that's true, we're going to double it. If not, we're going to set it to 1. So that means for our first move, we're going to wait twice as long before our second move. And then we need to clear as first move equals false. So we'll just go ahead and copy those down. Same with this. And we'll see how that feels. Okay, play the game. Yeah, I'm not sure you can see it. You can feel it, like you press and you get slightly longer. 2 might not be enough. But if we really want to, like, for one thing, those should actually be up here, not in the code. Serialize field, float, first move, delay multiplier. Use that instead of hard coding 2 in here. And that will let us do it, change it while the game is running, which is nice. Our piece controller, we're going to set it to maybe 3 by default. And then we'll play it. Start. Yeah. So you can kind of see it takes a bit longer, but if we set this to something like 30, I'm still holding the key. So 30 might be too long. 10. So I'm gonna press right and hold. You saw, like, it pauses and then it moves relatively quickly. That's still maybe not quite enough. Yeah, dialing this in is really like a feel thing. That feels pretty good. 4.5. Yeah, I'm sure it's really hard to see on stream what that feels like, but it's definitely you need to tweak it while got your hands on the keyboard to get something that feels good. Um, and from what I've heard, a lot of game development and like movement controllers and everything is about trying to figure out what feels right, and that's like a really hard thing to put into, like a really hard thing to describe. Um, that feeling. And so there's a lot of tweaking that goes into these little bits of pause here and there in order to make it feel really clean. Um, and 4.5 felt pretty good, at least to me. So that one ended up being a nice and easy one to implement. So okay, sure. Oh, I gotta save the game. There we go. Delay. Commit to master. We're making good progress tonight, everyone. Okay, so move this over into done. So this maybe goes over here into things to try. This also goes into polish. So this one, I don't know, this is an interesting one. When I'm testing it and I just want to like game over, then it's nice to just hold down the down key and they just keep falling. I'm not sure how realistic you would actually want that if you were playing it though. So I don't know. I'm kind of just talked myself out of like most of my things left on here that need to get done for the main game. Down to one being blocks fall faster as you play. So that I might have just kind of like decided what we're going to do by process of elimination. Okay, I guess we'll do that. We'll do that one. That's the next one. We'll do that tonight, and then we'll probably call it quits for the evening. So if we're gonna do it on total blocks spawned, so like this has got a few weird places to wire things in and figuring out the right place to do it. So like the spawner behavior, when we spawn a piece, we set up this piece. We tell it the grid, and then we tell it how long does it wait between each going dunk 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 down the screen. And then the same thing for like when the player hits the down or the fall key, like how long it waits when it's doing its fast fall. And so, but these are coming from this game configuration object, which is the only what did I change in the piece controller? I don't know. I must have accidentally typed something. Yeah, sorry. the only scriptable object we have is this game configuration, and it sets the width and the height and these fall delays. And I don't know what happens. Like, I don't think we can really change these at runtime without overwriting this. Which means maybe doing this as a scriptable object was the wrong way to do it. Instead of making this a serializable thing on the game manager. Like, I guess I had this idea that you could have different configurations for the game and you'd want to store them all as assets, but I'm not sure that really makes sense in hindsight. So it may make sense to actually just change this into something that lives on top of the game manager, which means I need to write down what these values are, because I'm pretty sure when I move it, they are going to all disappear. So we're not going to make this no longer implement scriptable object. It's just going to be a thing. I'm going to make this serializable, which is, I think, just using system. I hate when I do that. Yeah, I work on Mac in my day job, and so my fingers are kind of have an awful lot of muscle memory for setting up Mac commands. And so half the time I'll try to jump around stuff and realize that, oh wait, that's the wrong keys on Windows, and then things go wonky and I end up like moving my stuff around side to side. So we wanted to put it on our game manager now. So game configuration now goes on game manager. We want one of these. You can see we have a bunch of old code left in here that was never deleted. Okay. There's the config. Problem is the spawner now needs. Oh, the spawner needs the config. But the spawner is, the config is no longer like a single object that exists everywhere. So I'm contemplating what's the best way to get the game configuration into the spawner behavior without like having the spawner behavior know about the game manager, or I guess slightly less worse is the game manager knowing about the spawner. But so far I've managed to keep everything pretty disconnected and only communicating with each other through events. I mean, you could have it that the spawner is keeping track of all of the pieces that spawned. And so over time, it's the one that's changing how fast these are based upon the number of pieces spawned. I guess that would work. That's probably actually the cleanest. So that means we'll just undo all the stuff we did. Check out dash dot. There you go. Just undo all of the stuff that we did. So what were these files that were left? Back to having our default configuration. Okay. So if we go back in here, just get rid of those. And in our spawn behavior, we need to keep track of total pieces spawned. Into total pieces spawn plus equals 1. We can increment this. And we want to slowly decrease this every so many pieces spawned. Do I store the dropped pieces in a 2D array? Yes, they are stored in a 2D array. Yeah, so there's this grid board that has the grid of game objects. And what's a little weird is that, so if you remember, I mentioned, where's my prefab? Bring one of these pieces in. So remember I mentioned like these pieces are not like a graphic with multiple individual, it's not like one graphic drawing the square. This O piece is actually 4 individual blocks that are in the right configuration. And so since these are also their own game objects, what happens is when a piece lands, which is in the piece controller. Nope, not the piece controller, the piece behavior. Yeah, so when the piece lands, it looks at itself. Where did this go? Check for landed. Okay, here. So when the piece lands, so it does that by saying, can I fall down? If not, like, can it move down by 1? If not, it's no longer falling, and then it adds itself to the grid. And this add blocks to grid is actually going to go over and it's going to iterate over all of these individual pieces, find out what their correct position is on the grid, and then add them into the grid. So this game board controller here has a, should have an add or a set. I thought I had an add all. Go back and look at the piece behavior, see how it does it. Or it has set. Okay, set does take enumerable. So it gets all of the blocks, and then so it sets all those blocks into the grid. So they've lost their knowledge of being an O piece once it's in the grid. Once it's been in the grid, it's just a bunch of individual blocks. So that when we clear the row, we clear all of these individual blocks instead of having to worry about what their original piece was. It is a little weird. Sorry. Unlike in probably a more traditional Tetris game, you would actually be rendering the board directly. So you would have this board be a big grid, and as the pieces fall, you'd be updating each value in the grid and moving it down. Here it's a little weird in that the visuals have been disconnected from the underlying board. And so while a piece is falling, it's not on this backing grid yet. It only enters into the grid that keeps track of where pieces are once it's stopped moving. And granted, in order for the piece to move, it is talking to the grid and saying, hey, can I move down? Like, is it clear this is valid move? Checks like, okay, so if I want to move in a direction, like, are all of the spots where I would need to move empty before I can move there? So it's this weird back and forth between this grid and then the blocks being independent objects. I don't know if it's the best way to do it. It's the way I did it. I saw something vaguely like this on YouTube once when I was looking for how to implement Tetris, and I watched a short video. I don't remember who did it, but they did this idea of like iterate over all the pieces to find out their positions and then set them. Yes. So back to this. What we want to do is we want to, every so many blocks, change this, like how much we're going to fall. Our fall delay. So we could say, I don't know, take off I have to take off some percentage. Okay, so every 10 lines. Yeah, that sounds about right. I know there are concepts of levels in Tetris, and I think the level difference was just how fast they fell. I think that was the difference. It's kind of funny, like implementing a classic game to get some skills in game development, but it's a game I played some when I was a kid, but not really anymore. So it's kind of maybe a weird first choice as a game to implement, but it seemed doable. Not a lot of fancy graphics to deal with. So I don't want to change the original configuration. So our private float current fall delay. And then when we wake up, we want to save that public wake current, not customer, current. It likes it better if you type correctly. So we'll start there. Fall delay. we'll say calculate new fall delay, because this is starting to, this method is starting to get a few lines in it. And then we're going to say if, oh, you said it was in line every 10 lines. That's different. So if it's not on number of pieces spawned, but on number of lines cleared, I mean, that's not too hard, actually. So if instead of doing total pieces spawned, you can actually do it this way. So we need a public void online clear. And then we'll calculate the new fall delay here, total pieces, or total lines cleared. That's not a method. Okay, total lines cleared. Total lines cleared. So when we start up, we get the current delay. Then on line cleared, we increment it, calculate a new fall delay. If the total lines cleared mod 10, I think we want to start making some of these more variables in here. So we have number of lines cleared to increase speed. Speed increase. I guess we'll just call them levels for now. Speed increase. That's a new level speed increase. Okay. Then in our spawn behavior, so if the total lines cleared is config dot number of lines cleared to next level, the modulus of that equals 0. Current fall delay minus equals config dot new level speed increase. This is a little backwards. We may end up refactoring it, but I want to get this done tonight and then maybe come back and refactor it tomorrow, because we could say that, so right now we're keeping track of our score, which happens when a line is cleared. We have somewhere in here we have that. Oh yeah, online clear. So increment our score and notify. This also seems like maybe the right place to keep track of what level we're on in here. And then whenever, just like we have an on score change, we would have an on level change. Yeah, that seems like that's the right thing to do, actually. Level changed, int level. We just straight up calculate it because somebody else is going to be carrying this. The game manager now needs to keep track of level. And then online clear, we increment our score, notify. Now we need this. And we need a private total lines cleared. Oh, we need to tell it what it is. It's an int. So we have to compile error. Okay, you're going to go away. Oh, we've got a bug down here. There we go. Score notify. If so, we'll total lines cleared. We'll increment that. Do we not have the config? It's weird. The game manager doesn't have a reference to the game configuration. Let's fix that. Okay, pop over here and set this up before I forget about it. So the game manager needs to know what the game configuration is. The default configuration. Awesome. And so we increment our lines. If the total lines cleared mod the number of lines to next level equals 0, which means we've hit, like 10, 20, whatever. Then we can say increment level and notify. Just like we have increment score notify, we want increment level. Level plus equal to 1, just increment that by 1. And on level changed. Invoke, what's the level? Now we need to go up in here and make a new event for that. On level changed. There we go. So we have a new on level change. And so we want the spawner to know about that. Spawn behavior on level changed. Awesome. So whenever our level changes, we'll increment level and notify, which we'll call this on level change. Our spawner behavior is now listening to on level change. At the level, it's going to calculate the new fall delay by simply decreasing the fall delay by whatever the speed increase is. So now we need to go to our configuration and say that it's, well, for testing, we'll say it's 1 to the next level, and in the increase, so our current fall delay is 0.8, so let's try 0.0. Well, for testing, we'll set it at 1, just so that we can feel this ramping up. Hello. Did we crash already? Oh, we did. Stuff is null. Config. Current fall delay. Doesn't the spawner already know about the game config? No, it doesn't. That seems broken. There we go. And we got another one. This must have happened. Yeah, when I made the thing not a game or a scriptable object, that screwed everybody up. Okay, who else still needs it? Object reference not set. Why are you spawning out here? Oh, that was the one we copied in to show what was up with how it was made up out of individual blocks. That's right. There we go. So, oops. Okay, I can tell if this is much faster. I should have set the speed at which it changes to be even faster. I can do that. And eventually it's going to get so fast it's not playable. It's not there yet, I just suck at Tetris. I'm not sure how quickly I can work my way out of this. I don't know where I want to put that. I wasn't joking when I said I wasn't very good at Tetris. Kind of like pigeonholed myself in for some pieces here. Yeah, it's definitely falling faster. I'm not sure if you can tell it on stream. There you go, you can see. Okay, yeah, it's going too fast. Hey, you guys got to see the game over screen. So there you go. I only had 5 clears before game over. So we know it's definitely working. But clearly way too fast. So at 0.05, that might be too much. At 0.1, you could technically clear up to 80 lines before it would be going insanely fast. So it kind of like puts a max that you could get, which that works. We implemented that mechanic. Setting exactly how it works is all tweaks. But as far as mechanic-wise, I think that works. So save our scene. Make sure our code is all saved. Check this in. Blocks. Awesome. And I think we're gonna call it tonight for that. We got in, I think we got in 3 stories tonight. Yeah, well, we finished up the sound effect story. We did the preview, the double delay which I think is actually ended up being like a 3.5 delay, but anyways, and the blocks fall faster. That's awesome. We got a lot done tonight, everyone. So thanks everyone for joining in on the stream. I really appreciate it. And I will probably be on tomorrow night. Generally, if I get on, it's about 10 o'clock. 10, yeah, about 10 o'clock Pacific time. So I hope to see you guys back, and thanks again, and have a good evening.